Yes guys, gone for the pink shirt, unironed, don't really care to be honest. It is the day after the first ever managerial match for Frank Lampard as Chelsea manager. In today's video, we're going to talk about 6 things that we learned in particular, or that I learned from last night's match. We watched the game. If you didn't see it, I actually did a live stream here on my football channel where I basically watched the match, sat there with the camera set up in front of my laptop. I watched the game, commentated over the top for those of you that weren't watching it, discussed everything, analysed everything, and there was a couple of hundred of you at any given moment watching that stream, which is absolutely awesome, so thank you. Last night, Chelsea were in Dublin, Ireland to play against Bohemians in a game that finished 1-1. The first thing that we're going to take a look at is the first half formation that Frank Lampard set out for his team in his first ever match in charge at Chelsea. It was a 4-2-3-1 formation, which saw Ethan Ampadu in front of the defenders, Willy Caballero started in goal, and Azpilicueta as our captain. I expect that we'll see Azpilicueta retain the captaincy for next season, but the 4-2-3-1 formation was definitely the more successful of the 2 formations that Lampard set out with last night. This is the first match of pre-season, so we can't look into anything too much, but it's all surface layer things at this point, and I think the intensity of the game that we saw last night was hardly anything like what we're going to have to see from Chelsea at Old Trafford come August in the first game of the Premier League season. But 4-2-3-1, N'Golo Kante in front of the defence with someone else alongside him, so he's not doing that entire defensive midfield role himself. Last night, it moves into point 2. Ethan Ampadu was the best player on the pitch for me. Over the course of the 90 minutes, of course, we changed everything at half-time. There was 11 new players that came out for the second half. But the second thing that we can learn, Ampadu gave everything last night. Even though the intensity wasn't as high as a regular professional football match, it really was a proper pre-season game. Ethan Ampadu gave absolutely everything while he was on the pitch. He was diving into slide tackles, which is something that we've come to expect from him. Absolutely no fear on that football pitch whatsoever. And for me, if there was anybody out of the 22 players that Frank Lampard was able to watch last night as his first game in charge as Chelsea manager, Ethan Ampadu would have been the one who is actually genuinely staking a claim to be involved next season. Now, point number 3, and again, things can change very quickly. At the moment, the stress with all of these pre-season early fixtures is fitness. In a couple of weeks' time, we're going to be playing against Barcelona, and I think by then, obviously, we're going to have had a lot more training sessions. People's fitness levels are going to continue to rise between now, the end of pre-season, and the start of the season. We're playing against Barcelona, I believe, on the 23rd of July in Japan. And one thing that I saw last night that I firmly expect to probably maintain clarity between now and the beginning of the season is Bakayoko and Danny Drinkwater. Yes, Danny Drinkwater had a pretty good first half. He was overshadowed for me by Ethan Ampadu, and I don't think Drinkwater or Bakayoko are going to be getting too close to the Chelsea first team next season. Bakayoko, it looked to me for the first 15 minutes as though he was really trying to prove a point. He was trying to take players on. He was trying to get involved with the game, but he just kept making poor passes and poor decisions. Danny Drinkwater as well. I mean, I don't think he's good enough to be a Chelsea player. Yes, we spent 40 million on him from Leicester, and he's never really been given a shot. But from what we saw last night at least, and obviously I'm only reacting off of what we saw in that friendly against Bohemians, neither Bakayoko nor Danny Drinkwater are going to be giving any headaches to N'Golo Kante, Jorginho, Kovacic, Barkley or Loftus-Cheek anytime soon. Now the fourth thing, and something that was discussed a lot on social media last night, I wanted to make this video straight after the game, but I thought I would watch back my live stream a little bit. I thought I'd go through Twitter, take a look at what people were saying on there, and something that kept coming up yesterday was Billy Gilmore's performance in the second half. I've already said that the first half display was far better than the second half, but Billy Gilmore was a really strong positive from that second half performance. I think people may well be jumping the gun a little bit too soon when we start talking about Billy Gilmore actually being a potential first team starter for Chelsea next season. I don't think that's the case. I think obviously one thing we must remember last night is that a lot of those players that were out on that pitch were under 18 academy players that aren't even going to get a sniff in Frank Lampard's first season. It's all well and good us knowing and understanding that Frank wants to bring through the youth, but players like Billy Gilmore, it's definitely better for him to find a loan move. If he can get a loan move in the Championship, I think that would be an incredible signing for any championship club and for him as an individual. I think he's definitely got some serious potential. Even last night, the first thing I saw in the second half was him ghosting into the box, Frank Lampard-esque you could say. Then the finish wasn't up to standard. It was a good attempt, he was doing the right things, he was getting hold of the ball deep, he was trying to play some passes out wide. He looked like a really good player, but yet again, I think it's really important that we don't jump the gun, we don't start looking too far ahead for Billy Gilmore too soon. Now, point number 5, I wanted to make this a 5-point video. I decided that there were more than 5 points that I really wanted to talk about, but point number 5 is my man, Michy Batshuayi. Of course, I've said this countless times here on my YouTube channel, I really want Michy to succeed at Chelsea. Last night, he got the goal 8 minutes into Frank Lampard's reign as manager. It was a good finish, he shifted it out from his feet, put it in the top corner, beating the goalkeeper from just outside the 6-yard box. The one thing I will say is that as good as a finish as that was, he was getting into the right positions, he held up the ball well when he had it, but more often than not, his first touch last night wasn't up to the standard that we would need from a man leading our line at Chelsea next season. Of course, I don't want to get too deep into things because it's the first game of our pre-season and everybody is a bit rusty. Everyone is building up their fitness. That is something that we cannot forget. People were going crazy last night saying, you know, this moves into point number 6. Hashtag Lampard out was trending on Twitter. A lot of that was sarcastic. A lot of that was irony and a joke. But there was genuinely some people that were so pissed off that Chelsea drew 1-1 against Bohemians in Dublin on a friendly on a Wednesday night that people genuinely just are so sick already of the fact that Frank is in charge and they're just destined for it to fail, which isn't quite the case. So, moulding point number 5 and number 6 together, Michy Batshuayi, it was just a pre-season friendly. He scored the goal, and it was our only goal of the game. He held up the ball well, but it wasn't the most commanding performance to guarantee him a starting place next season. Over the next 6 matches of pre-season, we're going to see a lot more of Michy. I expect that Frank is going to do something very similar in the match on Saturday, which, by the way, I'm scheduling a live stream for Saturday. We're going to watch the game again together here on my channel. If you want to, you can join the stream. I expect that we'll see Michy at some stage or another in the first half or the second half in that game as well. But I think the one thing that we all need to remember is that nobody is going to be fully sharp at this point in time. If we're looking for individual performances that we can handpick out of the teams for pre-season and throw them into that team against Man United and expect people to perform the same way, it's not going to happen. It was a 1-1 draw. It wasn't the most entertaining match I've ever seen. It was almost, at times, quite difficult for me to maintain an exciting commentary for 2 hours and 18 minutes here in the live stream on my channel. It's not the end of the world. I think today we've picked out Ethan Ampadu, Billy Gilmore, Batshuayi to some extent as the main positives to take. There were other decent performances that I mentioned in my live stream. Gallagher was pretty good. I thought that Lewis Baker got on the ball a lot. He was trying to spread the ball out with left and right foot. He looked really good as well. Zappacosta was actually quite decent going forward. He always seems to be able to take players on and get further forward, but then it leaves him too far up the pitch, and then defensively it's all a bit of a, yeah. Those are the main things that we can take from Frank Lampard's first game in charge. Obviously, we're going to see another match on Saturday in Dublin, and then the friendlies start to get progressively more difficult, and I expect to see that we're going to see more of the players that we will see in the starting 11s next season for Frank as we get further towards the end through pre-season. But for the first match, we've seen a lot of young players, some of which were promising, some of which pretty much guaranteed and showed why the loan system at Chelsea works the way it does. We've got to send those players out on loan because, quite frankly, they're not good enough just yet for the first team. If you enjoyed this video today, be sure to leave a like. If you have anything you want to add, if there was anyone in particular you think that deserves a really strong mention after their performance last night against Bohemians, let me know in the comments down below. There's going to be a new video out here on the channel tomorrow where we go through a Football Manager simulated save with no signings, no sales in Lampard's first season in charge. Expect to see that video tomorrow. It's very exciting. I've already edited it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all the support again on the live stream. Thank you for all the support on the channel, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.